Hey, we interrupt your free speech TV for a little bit of Wake Up Missoula. Every week, Wednesday and Friday, until the foreseeable future, I'll be ushering you in through your work week. So let's kick things off with a little bit of weather. It is 16 degrees outside. Your high is going to be 22. Your low is going to be 22. So basically today, it seems like the weather's not going to really change much. It's going to be fairly cold the whole time, but things are going to start warming up later this week as well as we get into the 30s and the high 37, 38 as we go into this weekend with some snow and stuff. But what does that mean for some of you outdoor recreationalists? So if we go to a little cheat from onthesnow.com, we get to see some of the fresh powder that has fallen. There has not been any fresh powder that's fallen on any of the resorts, but there is enough snow in the base and the summit to justify a nice little trip over the weekend. And plus, they're going to have some snow throughout the weekend as well. So yeah, let's take a look here. Showdown Montana, Red Lodge, Maverick, Discovery Ski Area. Most of these slopes are pretty open. Discovery Ski Area seems like 6 out of their 8 slopes right here. But if you want to learn more about your slopes and coverage, you can always go to onthesnow.com. But I got a big news item I want to talk about, so I want to get through some of the more quick news. MCPS officials confirmed that a magazine clip was discovered on Sentinel High School property, which resulted in a shutdown Monday. But kids had school the next day, yesterday. But of course, during the shutdown, kids were released in waves, interviewed. Police went down there and they searched all the lockers at Sentinel High School, and there was no gun found, so the investigation is ongoing. Principal Ted Fuller said that the magazine was dropped sometime before school Monday morning. A group of students who reported that they heard a sound of something metallic hitting the floor immediately turned the magazine to administrators. Initial accounts said a construction worker found the magazine. In state news, imagine everyone in Montana going through the Billings International Airport and you get a record-breaking year for Montana's largest city. 2012 was the last time Billings broke the record with 899,000 this year. This past year of 2018. They saw 904,000 people come in and out of the Billings International Airport. The city's director of aviation and transit, Kevin Plom, attributed the 6% increase to passenger numbers to a strong local economy, a good year in the agriculture sector, proactive marketing by Visit Billings, and expanded air services in Billings in recent years. Here's a nice trivia bonus. The Billings Airport has also hosted one of the world's largest cargo planes, the Antonov AN-124, which is being used as part of the contract with the Federal Emergency Management Administration to ship massive loads of construction materials to a cluster of islands in the Pacific Ocean after Super Typhoon Yutu struck in October 2018. So there's a little trivia right there. It's one of the largest cargo planes. Of course, the big news that I want to talk about, it is the 100-year anniversary plus 1 day of the molasses flood in Boston, Massachusetts. And I like history. And the year was 1919, January 15th. A molasses tank exploded, resulted in the 21 deaths and 150 injuries. As a result, the 50-foot-tall steel tank was going to be used to create rum, leading into the Prohibition. So it was pretty much going to be the last brewed alcohol in the region at that time. The tank, slightly used, was critiqued even from the start for showing signs of instability, but factory safety didn't really mean too much in a lot of those days. 26 million pounds of molasses tore through commercial streets in a 15-foot wave. The surging molasses was shockingly destructive force. The wave moved upwards of 35 miles per hour. The power was sufficient to rip buildings off their foundation. The molasses snapped the support girders from an elevated train track and smashed multiple houses. So imagine hot molasses coming right at you. And if you didn't initially die from the initial wave, as soon as the molasses started hardening and thickening, you could have drowned. So there was just a lot of disasters going on there, and it was also one of the freakiest ones as well. The Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities website claimed that the property damage alone totaled $100 million in today's currency. Researchers have been fascinated by this flood, studying the cause behind it as a phenomenon of science and poor engineering. One of the reasons why is that they had molasses already in there. They imported more molasses, which was at a different temperature to combine with this molasses. Maybe it causes some kind of expansion. But of course, when molasses is a lot hotter, it's a lot more liquidy. But as it gets cooler it gets thicker, basically. Of course, I do have some pictures of the old-timey flood as well that I've found online. So if you take a look, this is what the picture of it looked before. And if we look through, you can kind of see some of the molasses in the area as it's thickening. Agent right here kind of looks like tar. And there's some of the people doing the research on some of the tanks that was burst, and it's sprawled on the ground. So you see some of the workers there. And then you see some fire crews and emergency experts coming in and walking through the tar trying to rescue some people along the way. And when the first time it exploded, it injures 50 and kills 11. But in once they were able to clean up and do everything, they were able to get the number of 21 people died and over 100 people were injured. So here is the aftermath. Over 100 years ago. And of course, the newspaper at the time reported current news. They had a different edition. So the steel that made up the tank was also a kind of a new steel, but which was thinner but tougher. But at the same time, nobody really knew how it would be proven against such a large volume as well. Of course, this crews worked tirelessly for searching for more survivors. 119 folks filed a class action lawsuit against the company after the fact. Boston suffered one of history's strangest disasters, a devastating flood of molasses, which deposited so much gooey residues that locals claimed that they could smell the molasses on warm days decades later. So that's it for news. I got some new programs for you guys, and then when I come back, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of city council. So stay with me.
Especially if you look at what other communities in other states are basically allowed to do. And then I think there's a whole suite of legislative opportunities that would allow us to get our energy in different ways and from different renewable sources. So everything from expanding the type of, kinds of solar systems that we might be able to build and access that. So there's laws that would allow us to have more solar energy, allow us to have different kinds of systems. And some of that is laws, and some of that is laws that would direct the Public Service Commission to allow us to do the kinds of things that we'd like to do.
Biology. So we're at the point of making genomes, building genomes out of laboratory chemicals. And Craig Venter from California synthesized an artificial genome. He modeled it on an existing genome from a very small bacteria, and he thought, well, let's knock out genes until we have just the bare minimum for life. And he has commercial reasons to want to do this. But when he knocked out those genes, it turned out that you could build an organism with only 473 genes. And when I say build, I mean literally built in the lab. Of those 473 genes, Craig Venter, who is not a modest man, says, I have no idea what 145 of them do. So he said, if anything, what synthetic biology teaches you is that we need to be much more humble in relation to the biological world.
They bought a cannon, took it out to Pompey's Pillar. It was there up until about 5 years ago. At that point, the Bureau of Land Management wanted to do strictly a Lewis and Clark presentation, so they de-accessed a number of the Foote family materials. And through the Museums Association of Montana, we found this cannon was available, and we went over, got it, took it to Bozeman, had a restoration job on it, took it outside, fired it 4 times, and then with the help of 20 National Guard volunteers, disassembled it and moved it here inside the buildings. So this is a really authentic piece of Civil War history in the middle of western Montana.
That's pretty amazing. So what is the right number? If I say to you, I can make it so you live healthy without Alzheimer's disease to 200 years old. We could be at 25% of GDP. All these things come with a cost, and so I don't believe that we know what the right number is. And what I do think is that it's critically important that we're all able to make our choices on how we want to distribute our resources. Do I think our current system is wasteful? Do I think that there's corruption in the system? Yes, of course I do, but I think we should be very careful of saying because Australia is at 8% or 9% or 10% or 11%, that's the right number, because I don't think we know what it is.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on within the city of Missoula. It's time for City Council. If you are interested in finding out more about your city and what's going on here in Missoula, go to ci.missoula.mt.us. It's a good way to get involved, volunteer, get a job, get a permit, and overall pay your city utility bills. All right, moving on to your official City Council report. Every Monday at 7 p.m., the Missoula City Council meets at the City Hall, which is not City Hall, but the City Council chambers, which is right next to Thomas Marbar, formerly Sean Kelly's. But every Monday at 7 p.m., they just talk about what's going on and what kind of things to approve budget-wise. And this is a brand new year, so they'll be talking about a new budget pretty soon. So look out for that. All right, let's talk a little bit about homelessness in the city of Missoula. Gil Wiggins thinks that Missoula's plan to end homelessness in the next 10 years is not working.
Housing first policies are important and a critical part of any good plan to end homelessness. But I fear that the city's plan to make this a reality does not provide an answer to one of Missoula's most predictable environmental features, the deadly cold. Even if the city is able to accomplish a reliable and effective housing first system, the likelihood that this would be a same-day turnaround process is even less probable than any one of us here tonight surviving outside this evening with little more than a blanket to stay warm. It kills me to watch the city of Missoula repeatedly give capital incentives to major corporations, property investors, and other capital interests while Missoulians are dying on the streets. It's shameful. I know the city can do better, but more importantly, I know that we have to. I am requesting tonight that the city edit the current 10-year plan to include a seasonal warming shelter to be open annually and indefinitely. If the city is going to take ending homelessness seriously, it must be making efforts to stop the risk of death brought on by exposure during Montana's notorious winters.
All right, so that was Mr. Wiggins. Salvation Army opened up a warming center just this last December. And it will be going on until about March when the weather starts warming up, and the warming center is for anybody who wants to get out of the elements in the cold. So Salvation Army is located off of Russell Street. All right, so this year's, of course, moving on, one of the stories, one of the things I was talking about last week is that the city is moving to approve an Arts Missoula trip to New Zealand. Back in October, folks from Palmerston, North New Zealand came down. It's a city about the same size as Missoula, a bit bigger, but it's very similar as it is a college town, just like Missoula. And Missoula wants to go there, and Tom Benson wants to go. Jesse Ramos voted against this, saying that the city shouldn't be paying for an all-expense-paid trip to New Zealand.
So I truly do like a lot of aspects about the trip. In fact, the only thing that I don't like about it is the funding mechanism by which we're doing it, and that's taxation. I do think there's a lot of benefits to the community with it, and I do think that this community is very generous and very loving, and I think that if we put up a GoFundMe page or a GoFundMe account, it would easily raise the $5,100. And to me, the reason why I can't support this is that I would personally have a hard time looking some of my constituents in the eye that have come to me with issues regarding taxation and their current tax situation. I know that $5,100 doesn't really make a dent in it, but I just think that it's maybe a little tone deaf on our part if we were to approve something like that when we have.
All right, so that was Jesse Ramos. He goes on to say a little bit more about this, but I'm going to cut him off right there. Moving on, I got Tom Benson. He's Director of Arts Missoula, and he responds to some of the procedure when it comes to paying for the New Zealand trip. Not only is he going, but a couple other people as well in the community.
That came after the year had already commenced, and so, in fact, they initiated that trip and told us they were interested in coming and made plans after we had planned. So it was not part of our budgeting process, and it was an unintended expense. Although it was a happy thing to do, it was a budgetary expense that we had to raise money for at the time, and we were somewhat successful in doing that. And so they invited us to come as well, and we're trying to be a little proactive in that so that we're not left with more of an expense.
All right. So originally, most of the budgets for a lot of the city-run programs and the fiscal year 2019 passed back in August. So a lot of these budgets are pretty much already set for the year, and then they talk about the next year's budget, and they approve it by the end of this summer. So that was just one of the things that they didn't expect people from New Zealand to come down here, and since they came down here, That's just kind of like the thing. So they're looking for City of Missoula approval to do that. Here's Heather Harp. She's talking about the funding as well in response to Jesse Ramos.
I think Mr. Benson spoke to the fact that they have been somewhat creative in their fundraising endeavors to not just come asking for help from our general fund, but also have done some fundraising from within the organization for both this trip and supporting the delegation that came over from New Zealand. And it kind of strikes me that when we think about it, we don't necessarily ask that of other types of departments. So in a way, what we are doing is supporting the continuing education of our Arts Missoula that oftentimes is always relegated to the back seat. And in this particular case, I'm glad and happy to support this.
And also, if you do get a chance to see Tom Benson's presentation about economic impact when it comes to arts and Arts Missoula, it is pretty eye-opening in terms of like the money generated through tourism, about how important the arts are and expanding it as well. So let's talk about, of course, the city voted in favor for this trip to New Zealand to improve ties with our sister city, Palmerston North, New Zealand. Along with that, Arts is moving to bring a couple Native Salish Kootenai members along for the ride. So they're raising money, so you can always fund them by looking up artsmissoula.org for this ride. Trade cultures and ideas with a city similar to ours, and the other city approves, of course, in other city news, they approved a car wash. That's another thing that's happening in the Missoula area. This was a very short meeting, but this is going to be a car wash that's going to be built near the Mask Studio, along the train tracks. It's going to be 1200 Shakespeare Drive. But let's talk about something else. Brian Van Lossberg, this is a very important week, this particular week, because there's a lot of things happening in the city of Missoula, especially when it comes to the master plan. So you get to affect a positive change within your community this week at the Public House, and here's Brian Van Lossberg for a little bit more information about that.
I just wanted to encourage folks to get over to the Public House Tuesday through Thursday. As I think it was Mr. Romero mentioned during public comment, the team of folks that were selected to do the update to the downtown master plan are in town. There was a session from 5 to 7 this evening. There's another one going on right now over at the Doubletree. And then this particular team is really known for their sort of open design studio approach. And part of that is that I don't remember the exact hours, but it's pretty much from the time the Public House is open until they close tomorrow through Thursday. You can just drop in at any point and sketch and talk and get your thoughts out there, and it's really important to do. And then there's a wrap-up Friday, I think it is from 4 to 6 at the Wilma, where that team will basically sort of present and reflect on what they heard the community say. So there's opportunities to provide input in person and then also online, and it's really important people participate. Thanks.
All right, so just letting you guys know, the master plan is part of a lot of big things that are happening in how Missoula grows. If you're concerned about gentrification, about the amount of housing, amount of people moving into Missoula, this is a good way to talk to officials and kind of have your voice heard along with everyone else. So this is going to be happening at the Public House today and tomorrow. And then, of course, the big presentation will be happening at the Wilma on Friday at 4:30. Okay, so for more information, you can go to MCAT.org, MCAT.org for your quick little link. You just click on Channel 190, and it brings you right to our most updated city council, county commissioners, all sorts of government-type meetings, along with Missoula Live, all that and more. But, of course, you can always go to ci.missoula.mt.us. It's such a nice website for anything. They just updated it a couple weeks ago. Ours was a couple months ago. I can't keep track, but it's a good website. But just so you guys know, if you have trouble hearing any of the video as well, just go to our MCAT.org website, because I feel as though the audio is like 10 times better coming from MCAT.org than it is from ci.missoula. Okay, so that is pretty much it for your city council report. I got a new Dubbin Stuff for you guys. It's the second Dubbin Stuff of 2019. So without further ado, here is a brand new Dubbin Stuff. And then when I come back, I'm going to be talking about events that are happening in Missoula. There's a lot of events, so I'm going to try to get through it as fast as possible.
Oh, yeah! You show that train in the mouth.
Train faster.
This is fun. Can we go yet?
Oh, it's not quite time to go, dear. Hold on a second.
Oh, there goes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, there goes $20.
I wish there's more entertaining things in this era.
This is great. Next week, we're going to see two squirrels fighting.
Do 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 boo boo boo. Do 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 boo boo boo. Boo do do do.
I'm so happy you decided to take us dancing.
Why do you say it like that? Dancing.
Don't you just love the song? I just want to drift away to the Paradise City.
Yeah, we just have to dance the night away. Dance.
Listen, I only agreed to go see that train wrestling match because you wanted to go, and I just wanted to impress you. That's all. Is that so hard to believe? Also, don't make fun of the way I speak.
Not at all, my dear. A lot of women do a lot of things for their men, especially in the 30s.
Well, I guess you did go dancing with me, and I really love dancing.
Yes. And the only reason I make fun of you, because it's funny.
Whew. Well, maybe we should just get on out of here. Come on now.
Do 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 boo boo boo. Do 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 boo boo boo. Boo do 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 boo boo do do. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm just adjusting. Let's talk about some things that are happening in the city of Missoula that don't have to do with government. All right, kicking off today is an Art Associates of Missoula monthly meeting. This is a basically aesthetics and ethics of photography, and this is happening at 10 a.m. at the Missoula Art Museum. It's just basically associate of the Royal Photographic Society will be there, and they're going to be just like chatting about art. It's Art Associates at the Missoula Art Museum, and it starts at 10. Empower Place, Tiny Tales, parents and taught sing, tell stories and rhymes, and enjoy an open reading and socializing time. Empower Places, which is at the Missoula Food Bank. It's just located at 1720 Wyoming Street, and it's from 10:30 to about 11 a.m. And just to get kids engaged in reading, but also, since it's at Missoula Food Bank, they also have some amazing cooking classes there you should check out. Hands-on science, synthetic biology. Spectrum Discovery Center is an area for a visitor of all ages to explore science through engaging exhibits and activities. Design your own superorganism to solve real-world problems and discover what scientists are working on today at the Discovery Bench. And the makerspace is Light Play. Scrabble and Bridge. Can't get enough of that Scrabble and Bridge. Missoula Senior Center every Wednesday. Around lunchtime, they have a Scrabble and Bridge, and they have some lunch. It's great. Grandparents Raising Grandchildren support group. So Southgate Mall Community Room from 1 to 2:30 p.m. If you're a grandparent and you're raising your own grandchildren, there's a support group. Is a collaboration between MSU Extension Office and Missoula Aging Services. It meets on the third Wednesday of the month, and it's from 1 to 2 at Missoula Aging Services. There is no cost to participate. That's good. Please join for a group for education and access to research-based support and resources that will enable parenting, grandparenting, and lead healthier, happier lives. So that's kind of thing what's happening, and it's at the Southgate Mall Community Room, happening from 1 to 2:30 p.m. But also they also do meet at the third Wednesday of the month, which is going to be happening March 21st, April 18th, and May 16th, and this is from 1 to 2 at Missoula Aging Services. Middle School Writers Group. For grades 6 to 9, this happens from 3:30 to 5 p.m. right after school on Wednesdays. It's for writers to get and give good feedback, play with words, and eat a little chocolate. Teen Art Workshop. This is free. All materials and snacks provided. Missoula Art Museum has been doing a lot of stuff, especially with youth programs. And you can join the Praise of Folly exhibiting artist Adrian Arleo for a workshop on portraitures and transformation, working on air dry clay, creative 3D works informed by your own personal symbols and all sorts of things. Learn about how Adrienne responds to her inspiration and how she translates those responses into sculptural forms. Girl Scouts, sign up. So Bonner Elementary School cafeteria, and learn how you can get your daughter involved with Girl Scouts in the Bonner area. This is for kindergarten and first grade girls. So it's great. There's a lot of girl-centric events that are happening this week as well. I'll talk about guts in a little bit as it comes up. Neighborhood Watch meeting, City Council chambers tonight at 5:30 p.m. If you have a Missoula Neighborhood Watch, or if you want to get involved with the Missoula Neighborhood Watch, you can hear from the Missoula Police Department about crime statistics, learn how to get involved, meet your neighbors, and entered to win a door prize. That's pretty cool. And it's a good way to ask if your neighborhood is, how crime-ridden your neighborhood is. Because a lot of times, if there's a crime committed, it's in the police report, but a lot of times your neighbor wouldn't say that they committed a crime. Why would they? All right, so so you can learn about that and more at the Neighborhood Watch meeting at 5:30 tonight at the City Council chambers. 3D printing 101 workshop, Missoula Public Library, pretty much every Wednesday or every first or third Wednesday or whatever, they do a 3D printing 101 workshop just to learn about the 3D printer. And let's see here. What else do we have going on tonight? We got a bunch of karaoke. We got karaoke at the Badlander. We got karaoke at the Dark Horse. And I believe all sorts of karaoke at the Eagles Lodge. And they got trivia happening at the Broadway Bar and Grill, Trivial Beer Suit at the Press Box, and also trivia at the Silver Slipper. All tonight, starting around 7:30, 8 o'clock. You can't miss it. All right, let's see here. I do have art clips for you guys. Let's see what I have. Oh, I want to show you guys another Dude I Just Drew. And this is episode 3 that we filmed last Saturday. And this is between Rowan and Jack. So Rowan is the artist here in Missoula. If you're interested in challenging the artist Rowan, and if you're an artist who likes to draw, it's really simple. The game, it's not really a game. It's more just like we hang out and draw. But it's 5 minutes to draw from a hat. You draw from a hat, and then you actually draw what's on the piece of paper. The suggestion, you only have 5 minutes to draw the suggestion. I probably should have said that a lot more clearly, but you can email us, mcat@mcat.org, to inquire more information about this as well. All right, so without further ado, here is a little tease of Dude I Just Drew, Part 3.
So here we have George Costanza with this kind of bald thing or whatever he's got going on with his head, but the funny thing is that he's gone.
He's gone.
Funny thing is he's gone. Jerry!
He's like...
It's like you're like the word of God. Jerry! Jerry!
He's like Zeus.
They just look up in the sky and it's just his face.
With his glasses glaring as the sun.
As he's like casting.
He has that kind of anime glasses where it's like completely white.
Jeremy! His glasses glare provides heat and light for
the light of the Lord.
The light of the Lord. Lord Costanza.
Lord Costanza.
Is that the Jesus pillar from Rio? That you're drawing, but
no,
with Costanza's face on it?
He's like bringing. He's like damning the entire planet. He's.
Jerry, evil has crept into the hearts of man, Jerry. I have to start the rapture. I'm bringing about the rapture, Jerry.
I bring locusts and floods.
Hey, Jerry, can I borrow your shot on my gun? What's going on here?
What's going on here?
Jerry,
in the world.
Hey, Jerry, have you invested in canned soup?
George is cleansing the entire planet.
What's with George? He thinks he's a god.
He thinks he's a god.
He controls the pigeons and the waves of water.
Does he have a gun?
Does he have a gun?
And then, God Costanza's like, and still, I can't prevent those birds from pooping on my car.
Can't do it, Jerry. Gets everywhere. I can't do it, Jerry.
Well, you don't want the birds to poop on your car. I'm a god, and I can't get it to stop.
I'm a god, Jerry. That's it. I'm a god. I got a god.
You should be able to deal with that pretty easily. I mean, it's just bird poo.
No, you don't.
I Why don't you just take it to the car wash?
The car wash, Elaine! Do you know how much cars cost to wash?
Why don't you just make it rain? Make it rain?
Make it rain? What am I, some kind of guy?
You're getting kind of obsessed with this now.
George,
I
yeah.
feel as though, like, you
Look, I couldn't think of anything. I was just like, running joke.
I feel as though that this is something that Joel would love.
Well, when we get him on here, we'll have to put at least one George Costanza.
Oh my god, that would be so funny.
So here's George exacting.
What's the face going?
It's the planet.
I've given you sentience, planet, just so that you die before me.
I'm sick of this planet. I must destroy it and remake it in my image. And that's the entire Seinfeld coming back, baby.
That was the universe before our own.
Are you done?
All right, so there's a little bit of taste of that. If you like me on my Facebook page, Wake Up Missoula, you'll get access to a link that'll show you the whole entire hour and a half draw off between Jack and Rowan. And hilarity will ensue. All right, let's talk about some events that are happening for your Thursday. Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a group of people who come together to teach you how to speak good words. So it's basically a speech writing thing. A bunch of people looking for attention, coming together and learning to just kind of talk. And talk to each other and talk. So it's about talking. If you like talking and got the gift of gab, Toastmasters, they meet 6:30 a.m. at Perkins Restaurant every Thursday. And they used to meet at Ruby's Inn all the time, but I think that's always cool. But that's what's happening there. All right, family fun time at the Missoula YMCA. They believe families need a place to play together and stay together. Family fun time at the Y provides an indoor all-weather play place where parents are welcome to join in the fun. Bounce houses, tumbling mats, scooters, hula hoops, and more. $22 for a family, and it's free for if you're a member of the YMCA. And this is from basically Tuesdays, Thursdays from 9 to 11:30 a.m., Fridays 3:30 to 5 p.m., and then Saturdays 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And this is a family package deal. It's great. Preschool art workshop, Jolena Ryan at Missoula Art Museum. Ooh, geez. Whew. Sorry about that. Preschool art workshops with Jolena Ryan, Missoula Art Museum. This is a workshop with Jolena Ryan, and this is for preschool kids. And this is a good way to get engaged with art, and this happens from 10 to 11:30 a.m. This is for kids aged 3 to 5, and it's $50 and $45 for members. Whew! And this happens pretty much every Thursday from tomorrow until February. Missoula Landlord Association monthly meeting. So, are you a landlord? Local chapter's regular meeting to provide education and a forum for landlord-tenant issues, keeping landlords up to date on concerns, tenant issues, as well as suggestions in the opportunity of running your business. So as taxes get higher and higher, and you've had been a landlord for a place for a while, and you're saying, I probably should raise the rates, but by how much? Why not hang out with a bunch of other landlords and be like, yeah, that's fair. Okay, so that's kind of what it is. And yes, they are meeting at Perkins. So once you're done talking with the Toastmasters, you can go on and hang out with the Landlord Association monthly meeting. Make it and take it crafts at Big Sky Branch. Hey, this is something that happens at Big Sky High School, part of the Missoula Public Library Extension. Come in and make a no-sew rice bag heating pads at the Big Sky High School branch. Registration is not required. For more information, you can call their MCBS number, which is 728-2400, and their extension is 8605. Again, that number is 728-2400. 8605 extension, and it starts at 2:30 p.m. But also what's happening after school on Thursday is Lego Club. Every single Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Lego Club at the Missoula Public Library. Beginning to intermediate French, Lifelong Learning Center is doing a French course. It's a 10-week course starting tomorrow at 4 p.m. If you want to learn French, it's great because Lifelong Learning Center is a great place to do it. It's $150 for 10 weeks. That's $15 a session, and the sessions are from 4 to 6 p.m. And this course will move at a rapid pace, so be aware. There's going to be a lot of homework assignments, but it's primarily meet and touch base every Thursday, but then after that, you're pretty much on your own. So French is another language. And you guys can learn about that as well. Of course, like I said before, GUTS, which is Girls Using Their Strength, are looking for volunteers, particularly women or girls who use their strength to teach other girls how to use their strength. And GUTS, which is Girls using their strengths, is recruiting volunteers that identify with womanhood who are interested in facilitating a 1 to an hour and a half weekly groups and providing mentorship to girls aged 9 to 13 in the Missoula school system. Orientation is on the 17th and the 22nd of January, and you can find out more information by going to ywcamissoula.org. Hack the Man Art Auction Game Night. Missoula Art Museum is looking for grab a glass of champagne and discover your favorite auction artwork in the 47th Annual Benefit Art Auction Exhibition during this fun and art auction game night. Whether you're new to the idea of collecting contemporary art, simply curious about this year's auction artists, or looking to expand your collection of a beloved artist, please join them for refreshments at the Missoula Art Museum at 6:30 p.m. They're going to have their big art auction on Saturday, February 10th, I believe. I believe it's the first Saturday in February, so I think it's February 2nd, and it's going to be at the UC Ballroom, which is the University of Montana, and that's going to be happening at 7 p.m. is the official art auction, but tomorrow at 6:30 is a great way to get involved with that as well. But hey, why not have a whole art thing happening for your Thursday night? You can go to the art auction exhibit, just kind of see what's going on with all the art. A lot of the art you won't be able to see again after the auction on February 2nd. All right, Calendar Girls at MCT. MCT is launching their fourth play. I think it's their fourth play. I'm not entirely sure. I think they just this could be the third play. My bad. Don't quote me on that. But Calendar Girls is going to be at MCT starting at 7:30 p.m. It's the premiere night. After losing her husband to leukemia, Annie and her best friend Chris embark on creating a fundraising calendar to raise money to replace the old, uncomfortable couch in the hospital waiting room. The effort raises eyebrows as well as funds, pushing boundaries of bravery, friendship, and British sensibility. Calendar Girls is powerful and hilarious, best enjoyed by a mature audience, and a suggested audience of PG-13 for a bit of language and modest suggestion of nudity, which means, according to Tim Firth, as in the best traditions of vaudevillian fan dances, the art of play's nudity lies in what is withheld, but best described as fabulous concealment. And that's what you guys can expect from Calendar Girls at MCT starting tomorrow. And then it'll go on for 2 weeks at the MCT Missoula Community Theater Center for Performing Arts. It's great. You got a bunch of nightly shows at 7:30. You got a couple matinees on Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m., but you only have 2 weeks to check this all out and more. But of course, if you are interested in finding out more, you can go to MissoulaEvents.net. MissoulaEvents.net is your weekly source for what's going on in Missoula. Just finding out if there's something going on, maybe a band, your favorite band's going to play in Missoula. Check it out. MissoulaEvents.net kind of tells you everything you need to know, from the Wilma all the way to the Zach. So all across town, all wonderful things that are happening as well. But I'm going to end my show right here. I thank you guys for joining me and for Wake Up Missoula. I'm Scott Ramp.